Have you ever wondered if the world you see with your eyes is only half of reality? Imagine this. You wake up one morning, but something feels different. You walk outside and suddenly the colors are deeper, the air seems alive, and you can feel the emotions of people passing by. You realize you're not just looking at the world, you're seeing through it. Ancient sages, mystics, and seekers have whispered about this ability for thousands of years. They called it the opening of the third eye. But let me tell you something the modern world rarely dares to say. The third eye is not just a mystical organ hidden in your forehead, nor is it a magical superpower reserved for monks on mountaintops. It is far more subtle, far more dangerous, and far more liberating than most people imagine. In every era, from the Vedic rishis of India to the Egyptian priests of the Nile, from the Daoist immortals of China to the Gnostic seekers of the Mediterranean, there were those who claimed that the true sight, the vision beyond illusion, could be awakened. But they also warned, those who open this eye without understanding may lose themselves in a flood of truths they are not ready to bear. So what is the third eye really? Is it the mystical Ajna chakra that yogis meditate upon? Is it the pineal gland that scientists whisper about, tucked away deep in the brain like a sleeping jewel? Or is it something even more? A shift in consciousness that transforms how you perceive everything. In this journey, we are going to strip away the Hollywood myths and the Instagram spirituality and uncover the real meaning of the third eye. The one the ancient traditions intended, the one that has the power to awaken you, and also the one that demands deep responsibility. We will explore the origins of this mysterious concept, dive into the wisdom of ancient cultures, and reveal the hidden science behind it. Then we'll go deeper, into the heart of what it means to see without eyes, to pierce the veil of illusion, and to experience reality as it truly is. And finally, we will discuss the most important part, how you can begin to open your own third eye safely and wisely, so that when the veil lifts, you are ready to embrace the truth that stands before you. Because once you see, you can never unsee. Long before the phrase third eye became a mystical buzzword, it was a sacred symbol encoded into the heart of humanity's oldest spiritual traditions. To understand its real meaning, we must travel back, not just in miles, but in centuries, and perhaps even in states of consciousness. In the ancient land of the Indus Valley, the sages of the Vedic tradition spoke of Ajna, the command center of the subtle body, located between the brows. In Sanskrit, Ajna means to perceive or to command, suggesting that this energy center was not just about sight, but about directing the mind, disciplining thought, and perceiving truth beyond the senses. Yogis believe that when the Ajna chakra awakens, the seeker gains access to jnana, higher wisdom, and begins to navigate life not through instinct alone, but through divine insight. Meanwhile, in the temples of ancient Egypt, the eye of Horus gazed out from stone carvings, a perfect fusion of symbolism and anatomy. Scholars and mystics have noted that the eye of Horus closely mirrors the internal structure of the human brain, particularly the thalamus and pineal gland. For the Egyptians, this eye represented protection, healing, and restoration, but also the ability to see the gods and traverse the hidden realms of the Duat, the Egyptian underworld. The pharaohs and high priests guarded this knowledge closely, for they believed such sight could be dangerous in the wrong hands. In the Daoist traditions of China, the third eye was connected to the upper dantian, the energy center of spiritual vision and inner clarity. Daoist adepts practiced internal alchemy, cultivating energy through breath, movement, and meditation until the celestial eye opened, granting them access to realms of pure spirit, where the laws of ordinary reality dissolve. Even in the mystical branches of Christianity, there are echoes of this wisdom. Jesus is recorded in the Gospel of Matthew as saying, "The light of the body is the eye. If therefore thine eye be single, thy whole body shall be full of light." While often interpreted metaphorically, many esoteric Christians believe this refers to the unification of perception through the spiritual eye, the inner light of God illuminating the soul. Across these cultures, a common thread emerges. The third eye is not merely about seeing visions, but about piercing illusion. It is the faculty by which one discerns truth from deception, essence from appearance. But here is the deeper, more dangerous truth that many modern interpretations gloss over. In ancient times, the opening of the third eye was never considered a casual practice. It was always preceded by rigorous preparation, moral discipline, purification of body and mind, and the guidance of a teacher. Why? Because to open the third eye is to strip away comforting illusions. The world you thought you knew may crumble, revealing truths that are both liberating and unsettling. In the mystery schools of old, initiates were warned, once your sight changes, you cannot go back to blindness. This was not meant as a threat, but as a sacred reminder that spiritual sight comes with responsibility. To act with integrity, to use insight for compassion rather than control, and to accept that the truth will not always be what you wish to see. The question is, in our modern world, where distractions are endless and discipline is rare, are we prepared for what the ancients considered the most transformative and dangerous awakening of all? If you are, then we must begin to understand what the third eye really is, from the inside out. When people first hear about the third eye, they often imagine it as a kind of supernatural camera lens, an invisible eye sitting in the middle of the forehead, ready to project visions of hidden realms. But this is a child's picture of a truth far more profound. The third eye is not an organ in the same way your physical eyes are. It is a faculty of perception, a shift in the way consciousness interacts with reality. If your ordinary sight captures the shapes and colors of the world, your third eye perceives the essence of things, the energies, the patterns, the underlying truths that lie beneath form. A helpful metaphor is the ocean. Your physical eyes can see the surface, waves, foam, the glint of sunlight. But the third eye allows you to see into the depths, to perceive the currents moving beneath, the vast life hidden from surface view. In the same way, while your physical eyes show you appearances, the third eye shows you the deeper forces shaping those appearances. From a yogic perspective, the third eye corresponds to the Ajna chakra, the sixth primary energy center in the human's subtle body. This chakra governs intuition, imagination, and higher reasoning. It acts like a bridge between your rational mind and your intuitive knowing, allowing you to integrate facts and subtle impressions into a unified understanding. But there's a deeper layer, and here's where it gets truly interesting. Many mystical traditions link the third eye to the pineal gland, a tiny pine cone-shaped structure buried deep within the brain. Modern science tells us it regulates circadian rhythms and produces melatonin. But ancient mystics spoke of it as a gateway between the physical and spiritual worlds. René Descartes called it the seat of the soul, believing it to be the point where the immaterial mind interacts with the material body. Esoteric physiology suggests that when the pineal gland is stimulated through meditation, breathwork, or certain energetic practices, it produces altered states of consciousness. These states aren't hallucinations in the usual sense. Rather, they are expansions of awareness, where the boundaries between inner and outer perception dissolve. But let's be clear, the third eye is not simply about seeing visions. True awakening of this faculty changes how you perceive reality at every level. You may begin to sense when someone is lying to you, not because of their words, but because you feel the discord in their energy. You might look at a forest and feel its ancient intelligence. You may even begin to notice how your thoughts shape your experiences, as if reality itself is responding to your inner state. The reason the ancients treated this as sacred and dangerous is because once the third eye is active, illusion loses its hold on you. You cannot be so easily manipulated by appearances, propaganda, or your own unconscious fears. But this also means you will see truths you may not want to see about yourself, about others, about the world. In other words, opening the third eye is not an escape from reality. It is an initiation into more of it. And before we dive into the second half of this explanation, where we will explore the deeper metaphysics, the traps along the way, and why some who open this faculty end up more confused than enlightened, remember this: the third eye is not a thing you have to find. It is a perception you must learn to remember. When this eye begins to open, the world is no longer perceived through an added sense alone. The entire architecture of perception shifts. It is like a hidden skylight in the mind. Not only does it allow you to gaze into the vast expanse beyond, it also lets a light from elsewhere pour in. In the subtle flow of consciousness, this eye works in both directions. It receives impressions, patterns, and whispers from the deeper layers of reality, and at the same time, it opens a passage for higher intelligence to enter the human mind. This is why its awakening is both a blessing and a trial, for the light illuminates not only the beautiful, but also the hidden shadows. The ancients understood that perception is never neutral. What is seen is always colored by the one who sees. One person may look at a forest and feel its living spirit. Another may sense danger and darkness. In the same way, when the third eye opens, it not only reveals objective truth, it magnifies everything that already lives within you, the luminous and the dark alike. If the mind is filled with fear, chaos, or unchecked desire, the visions that appear may twist into illusions, trapping the seeker in a maze of their own making. For this reason, every authentic mystery school required a period of disciplined preparation before attempting to open the eye. The body had to be purified, the emotions calmed, the mind sharpened into clarity. Only when the inner waters are still can they reflect what is truly there, without distortion. From an esoteric perspective, the point between the brows, where the Ajna chakra resides, is the bridge between the individual self and the ocean of universal consciousness. When this bridge is strong, intuitive flashes, symbolic dreams, and moments of sudden knowing arise naturally, without confusion between truth and fantasy. Yet the highest gift of this eye is not the ability to see more, but to see through appearances into essence, through chaos into order, through the small self into the boundless self. And when this vision matures, the world remains what it is, yet your way of moving through it is forever changed. Those who truly awaken this sight do not abandon the ordinary world. They walk between two realms, touching the eternal while embracing the everyday. And in their gaze, everything is bathed in a light that does not come from the sun. The awakening of the third eye is not the result of a single act, nor the outcome of a single meditation. It is a slow unveiling, like the sunrise. First a glimmer on the horizon, then a steady expansion until the whole sky is lit. To approach it wisely, one must prepare both the inner and outer being, for this sight responds not to force, but to alignment. The first step is stillness. In a world overflowing with noise, stillness is the rarest resource, and yet it is the very ground upon which higher perception grows. This can be cultivated through daily meditation, allowing the mind's restless waters to settle until what lies beneath can be seen clearly. Breath becomes the anchor, slow, deep inhalations and exhalations that draw awareness inward, gathering energy at the point between the brows. Second is purification. Not in the narrow sense of rigid diets or extreme asceticism, but in the broader sense of clearing the mind and body of what clouds perception. Foods that are heavy, chaotic, or overly stimulating can dull sensitivity, while excess distraction fragments attention. Likewise, harboring resentment, deceit, or constant self-criticism is like pouring ink into the inner waters. The clearer the vessel, the purer the vision. Third is attention training. The third eye is not just about visions. It is about seeing deeply into the present moment. Practice observing without rushing to label. When you watch a flame, a leaf trembling in the wind, or the expression on someone's face, notice the subtle movements beneath the obvious. This nurtures the habit of perceiving essence alongside form. Sacred sound is another ancient key. Many traditions used mantras, repeated not just aloud but in the mind, to tune the inner frequency to a state of resonance where the higher senses awaken. The sound Om, for example, is said to vibrate through the Ajna center, loosening the veils that cover it. Yet above all, the greatest safeguard and catalyst is the heart. Without compassion and humility, the vision can harden into judgment or dissolve into delusion. When the third eye opens under the guidance of the heart, what you see will be used not for control or vanity, but for clarity and service. The journey is not without challenges. As perception sharpens, one may begin to sense dissonance between people's words and their energy, between the polished surface of society and its hidden currents. This can feel disorienting, even isolating. In such moments, grounding becomes essential. Time in nature, simple acts of care, and connection with trusted companions keep the awakened sight tethered to the human world it must still navigate. Approach the third eye not as a treasure to be seized, but as a flower to be cultivated. In patience, discipline, and sincerity, the petals will part on their own. And when they do, you will not just see differently, you will be different. The third eye has been called many names across time. Ajna, the celestial eye, the eye of Horus, the single eye of the heart. Yet behind every name lies the same invitation, to awaken to a vision that sees beyond the surface of things. This vision is not a gift for the few, nor a distant power locked away in the realm of mystics. It is an inheritance, quietly waiting in every human soul. But like all great inheritances, it comes with responsibility. To see truth is to be changed by it. To pierce illusion is to surrender the comfort it once offered. In the beginning, you may seek to open the third eye. But as the path deepens, you will see that it is not so much a matter of opening something new, but of removing the veils that have always been there. Veils woven from fear, distraction, and the habit of seeing only what is convenient to see. When the veils thin, the world reveals its deeper currents. You begin to recognize the subtle threads that bind all things. You notice how thought shapes reality, how intention moves like wind over water, shaping the ripples of events. And you understand, perhaps for the first time, that you are not a separate observer, but a participant in the great unfolding. To walk with this sight is to live in two worlds at once, the visible and the invisible, the temporal and the eternal. The greatest masters were never those who escaped the human realm, but those who could carry the light of the unseen into every ordinary act until nothing was ordinary anymore. And so the question is no longer simply how to open the third eye, but what will you do when it opens? Will you turn away from what it shows you, or will you let it guide your steps, even when the path is uncertain? For once you see, you cannot unsee. The light remains, and with it, the quiet knowing that everything, every stone, every face, every moment is a doorway into the infinite.